assembled. Superman. Batman and Robin. Wonder Woman. Aquaman. And the Wonder Twins, Zan and Gina, with their space monkey, Bleak. Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Eye Council.
Yes, it's the Nerd Eye Council.
Yes.
And the Super Twins. And the Crazy Space Monkey. It's Bespin, the Crazy Space Monkey. What is up? Darth Payne in the house.
And, of course, Nate the Great with you, hitting you with some old school Super Friends from way back in 1977.
Yeah, dude. Watching that. We were actually just watching a little YouTube videos, looking for a little intro song, and we stumbled upon some golden cartoons from our yesteryears, and I'm just like, oh, I could watch this. I'll forget the podcast. It's the Super Friends. But yeah, we're back in black. Minus Wreck-It Ralph. And you know I'm going to hate on you, bro. You know I'm going to hate on you today.
That's if you take the time to get your nose out of your ass and listen to this at least.
Yeah, I think we're down one listener now. Not only is he not in the podcast, he's not even a fucking listener. So Ralph was going to be, homie, I love you, you know that. Ralph was going to call in today due to circumstances out of his control. That can't happen, so...
Yeah, he was held up at an Imperial checkpoint, so he won't be joining us on this week's episode. But kind of the reason why we played the Super Friends theme is because a couple of big trailers dropped this week.
Huge, back to back.
As we mentioned last Friday, the Justice League trailer dropped Saturday, and we've had a week to digest it and kind of talk about it amongst ourselves. But we figure we bring it to the world for you.
All six of you.
Yes, all six.
Wait a minute, 5. Sorry.
Yes, 5.
But yeah, let's start with, I don't know where you want to start, but...
You can go wherever you want.
I'm going to start with Justice League.
Okay.
And if you think that there's any bad blood between Marvel, or not any bad blood between Marvel and DC, well... When DC drops a trailer and 24 hours later, Marvel's like, oh yeah? And they drop a trailer. That's my initial thought after the Spider-Man trailer was like, yeah, these two companies they really don't like each other. So Justice League dropped first, and I'm sure all you nerds out there have seen it, minus Wreck-It Ralph. And I told you I was gonna call you out, dude. And we're gonna break it down a little bit. Not quite as well as Angry Joe does, but I'm going to throw my opinion out there because my opinion has been the minority. So it killed it on the internet. And overall, Nate, I am sheepishly optimistic.
Right, as you kind of should be with DC's track record thus far.
Right, they have not proven themselves yet, by any means, really. The trailer was, in my opinion, the trailer was an upgrade. When the little teaser trailer came out, I heard a lot of people saying they liked it, they liked the tone of it. I liked a couple of scenes out of the teaser. I really like the Flash scene. That's great. That's a great scene, and they know it because they threw it back into this one too.
Yeah.
There were a couple of scenes that I liked. Overall, the teaser trailer didn't do much for me. But this one, I think, was better put together. I thought the choice in songs was cool and appropriate.
Yes.
Come Together by Aerosmith. Obviously, their superhero team coming together for the first time. And it worked in the context of the Batmobile sliding and shooting at the same time, the way they played that song. I liked that. I mean, I know it's weird to say I liked the song. But there were parts about Aquaman I liked. And then there were parts about Aquaman I didn't like. For instance.
Okay.
Loved the line... what's the awesome line he says?
Was it? Was it toward the end of the trailer?
So you dress like a Batman.
Yeah. There's a little scene at the end where Commissioner Gordon is talking to Batman, and he tells Batman, he's like, "Well, it's good to see you getting along with other people." And Aquaman walks up with his trident in hand. He's like, dressed like a bat. And I dig it.
Right.
And then Batman turns around and looks at Gordon. He's like, it might be temporary.
You know what? I actually heard, man, I just want to throw this out there. I heard that is J.K., whatever that dude's name is.
J.K. Simmons?
I like that dude.
Yeah.
And I heard, I hope this is not true, but it's Warner Brothers. I heard that was his only scene in the movie.
Which I really hope that... yeah, it is a great scene.
And there's a little bit of like... there's some charisma between the three of them. You can kind of feel it.
Yeah.
There seems to be, I thought I watched it a couple times, some charisma between Aquaman and Batman. And if they noticed that when they were filming it and kind of play off of that, and, you know, Batman doesn't really have a Robin or a partner, but maybe Aquaman's kind of like, yeah, I kind of like that dude, but I'm not going to tell him. You know?
Right.
That could be cool if they work that into the storyline. And like I was saying, J.K. Simmons, I like him as Gordon. And that scene was probably my favorite part of the trailer.
Right.
And the three of them, there was just something cool about it. And then I heard later on that a rumor, and it's not confirmed, that could be his only scene. Speculation is, I can't remember what site I heard it on, but I sure hope not.
Yeah, that just doesn't... For somebody as a big of a name, and I know this movie is full of big names, but for somebody like J.K. Simmons to be given the role of Commissioner Gordon...
Tell me what he's in, because I like the actor, but I don't know him.
Oh... Well,
or do we need to do some research on that?
Well, I know he's in a lot of the State Farm commercials.
Oh yeah,
where, we can cover that because we've seen it before, and all this stuff like Rabbit in the Tailpipe. We'll cover that, and all that stuff. And he was in that one movie he won an award for. It was something to do with drums, not Drumline, obviously, but yeah. But he won. I think it was for supporting actor in that movie. But for somebody like J.K. Simmons to be given the role of Commissioner Gordon, and we've all seen the pics of him just get absolutely ripped for this role.
Yeah. So
it just doesn't seem.
Why underuse him?
Right. If he gets all this jacked up for one scene in the movie, it just doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Now, it makes more sense if he gets jacked up and maybe there's some scenes where he's kind of fighting with the Justice League, but kind of not. Like maybe he's kind of off. He's shooting.
Well, it almost seemed like that very end scene where Aquaman is riding on the Batmobile.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like that might have happened around the same time as the J.K. Simmons scene. It almost seemed like the same setting or something. So
yeah, maybe
that's a scene, like a really big scene, and he's involved. Maybe it's a fight scene, and Gordon is involved. Something I got to bring up that immediately after the first time I watched it. Okay, so who are they fighting? So I know we've been hearing a lot about Steppenwolf for a long time, but in the trailer, you basically only see parademons.
Yeah, they're fighting parademons. Now they're not going to show Steppenwolf. I think they're going to wait until maybe a future trailer, or they're just going to wait for him to be on the big screen, and then you'll see him on the big screen. I don't think they're not going to, for lack of a better phrase, blow their load.
And I'm okay with
this
that.
one, like they did the Superman Batman, where they just just came out and, hey, here's Doomsday.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that pissed me off. Yeah, I remember watching that trailer for the first time, and I literally said, "Well, that's the whole movie."
Yeah, once you
don't need to see it.
Once you know Doomsday's there, you know what's going to happen.
Right, and
if you follow the comics, if you don't follow the comics, or if you haven't seen the movie, in the comics, Doomsday kills Superman.
All right, and in that context of the trailer, the previous trailer for Batman vs. Superman, we didn't really know Wonder Woman. We didn't really know whose side she was going to be on, whatever. And that scene in the corny-ass line in the trailer where you see Wonder Woman for, I believe it was kind of the first time we had seen her appear in that universe, and Batman and Superman look at each other all cheesily and like, is she with you? I thought she was with you, and it's like, okay, so you just clarified the entire Wonder Woman thing in 0.5 seconds.
Right. Who is she? I don't know. You know who she is? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So stupid. Even though Batman's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and yet he doesn't know about this woman who's been around since past World War I.
Plot hole.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, we could go on about how much I hate that trailer. Let's not do that. So apparently Warner Brothers, and I'm fine with that. They have learned their lesson that, oh shit, we shouldn't have showed the main bad guy. And I'm not saying you got to show Steppenwolf, but are we going to see an hour and a half of them just fighting parademons?
Well, also in the trailer, you see, and it's kind of toward the end of the trailer, where you see this massive army. And if you pause it, it turns out it looks like an entire army of Amazonians. Really? And they're going into battle against Darkseid's advanced army, a bunch of those parademons. And they get like a camera kind of pans out at a large view, and you see these two massive armies just kind of coming together against each other. Uh-huh. So it's probably going to be toward the beginning of the movie, where it's kind of showing the Darkseid's army gathering these mother boxes, which are they're basically like,
for those of us
very
out there,
complex supercomputers. It's basically what they are.
Yeah, what's the mother box? It's a key part of the movie,
right? Darkseid wants to gather these mother boxes. And we don't know why.
And they came from where? Do we know yet? Is there an origin behind this?
I'm sure they're going to cover the origin in the movie.
It's not a comic book thing. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, I think it is, but I'm not really familiar with the origin of the mother box and what they do, other than they're very highly advanced supercomputers. I think they're sentient supercomputers too. It's like they have like a sentience to them too.
They're alive.
I think so, yeah, if I remember correctly.
Well, I know there's something to do with Cyborg got his powers from a mother box.
Right, that's how he becomes Cyborg. He merges with one of the mother boxes, and he basically becomes that the supercomputer genius.
It makes me wonder, knowing that, and this is the first time I've had this thought, if wherever they came from in the universe, the mother boxes, that is going to have some sort of power over Cyborg, since he got his power from it. You know what I mean? Like if they, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
right.
Whatever the origin of the mother box is, we trace it back to Darkseid or whatever. So then when Cyborg goes to fight Darkseid, is he going to be like powerless because Darkseid wields that power or something?
Or maybe since he's part of the mother box, he can locate the other mother boxes.
One.
So Cyborg might end up becoming a key part of
That's a good
of the Justice League finding these mother boxes.
That's a good guess, dude. That is. I could see that unfolding because in this trailer we see a lot of Cyborg. They shove Cyborg right down our throats. Oh, 12 inches. I'm sitting in Ralph's seat today, so if I get a little foul and comical, it's because I'm in Ralph's chair.
Just a very, very simple explanation of the mother boxes. Yeah, they are sentient mini supercomputers with impressive powers and abilities. One of them was given to the Atlanteans, one of them was given to the Amazonians, and one of them was given to the humans, which the human one becomes Cyborg. So Cyborg becomes a mother box, basically.
One goes to the...
The Atlanteans.
Oh.
And so that scene with the Amazonians and the Darkseid army is the Darkseid army is probably attacking the Amazonian island, Themyscira.
Good call.
And
he did not look at his notes. That was right off the top of his head.
And he attacks the Amazonians to get their mother box. Whether they succeed or not, we'll have to wait until the movie comes out.
Right.
But as far as we know, that is the plot. Whether and of course we haven't seen Steppenwolf yet, so we don't know what kind of awesome fight scene.
Right. I was thinking back to Avengers, the original Avengers.
Right.
And thinking about how, well, do you remember what were those aliens in Avengers? It's a similar concept.
The Chitauri.
Chitauri. That they're throwaway bad guys that we get to watch the good guys destroy. But at least in Avengers, they didn't play that to death, though, because you had Red Skull, and there was some other... Oh, and Loki was involved in it. First Avengers? Or he was the
No, Red Skull was in the Captain America movie.
Wasn't he in Avengers?
No, because at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger, he gets sucked into the Tesseract.
And then I thought...
No, it was just Loki. Loki and the Chitauri were the main bad guys, because Loki had the staff given to him by the Chitauri with... as we come to find out, had the Mind Stone in it, which allowed him to take control of people's minds. Mm-hmm. Which, again, a plot hole, because if Thanos is trying to get all of the Infinity Stones, why the hell would he give him the Mind Stone?
Did they ever explain that off?
Because the Chitauri were working with Thanos.
Right, I figured.
And the Chitauri gave him the staff with the Mind Stone in it. Now, unless the Chitauri... secretly gave it to him, shh, don't tell Thanos.
Right. I mean, and not to get too far into Avengers world, but they can still have time to explain it if they choose to.
Right.
Because we're going to see a whole lot of Thanos finally, and they could be like, Thanos could be like, Loki, you didn't do what I told you to do, that sort of thing.
Right.
And now you have to pay. But if they'll go through that, if they take the time to jump through that hoop, a lot of people at this point are like, Avengers? I barely remember that movie. Myself included.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that was kind of a minor complaint of mine about this trailer, the Justice League trailer. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't want to see the main bad guy. I didn't want to see Steppenwolf.
So what was the problem you had with... the
Parademons? Or what?
Oh, you said there's some good things about Aquaman that were good, and then there were some things that were bad about Aquaman.
All right. So, I like the character of Aquaman.
Right.
I don't necessarily like... And I think they are kind of going for a buddy-buddy thing with Batman, which I think is a good idea. I think that's a great idea. I don't necessarily like how they have made him Batman's equal, immediately. Going back to the teaser, and I know Aquaman, nobody really has jumped on board yet because of because of the previous Aquaman, and we all kind of laughed at that for decades.
Right.
And this is an improvement for sure. But without going on too long, there's a couple of scenes. I didn't like the scene where he jumps off the Batmobile. I didn't like it. And I had talked to somebody, a friend of mine, that was like, oh, dude, that was kick-ass. Him riding on the Batmobile was kind of kick-ass. And somebody told me this, too, or I watched a video on it, that there was some stuff in there that was not very well done CGI, almost like they're still working on it.
Yeah.
Somebody complained.
I think Angry Joe mentioned
Same
it.
thing.
The scene with when they're talking, cause leading up to it, Wonder Woman is asking Bruce Wayne, she's like, "This team, where are they?" And then they go through each of the individuals, Aquaman, Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. And then they show Cyborg. They introduce Cyborg, comes in and he blasts a flaming car that's about to run somebody over. And then when he first appears, the CGI looks weird, it's his face kind of looks superimposed.
Yeah.
And it just didn't look right. But then in the next scene after that, when they're like all together, his face looks more realistic.
So a friend of mine brought up the Cyborg thing, like, oh, exactly the same as what Angry Joe was saying about, he looked a little weird, like cheesy, like the CGI, and I was like, really? And he said, yeah, man, his face. Now this is after I watched it twice. I haven't gone back and watched it a third time yet. But then I did see a video somewhere that they were talking about the same thing, a breakdown of the trailer, and they're like, there were some parts that it looked like they weren't finished, and they put it up there already. And CGI is a step-by-step thing.
Right.
But we were talking about, okay, so I like seeing him on the Batmobile, like, let's go to battle, come on, Batman. It was kind of a cool thing. But when he, catapults off the Batmobile, I thought that was really corny. I did. That's my own opinion. I thought the CGI could have been done better. Because it was a realistic shot when he's riding on it. And then it was almost, to me, like my brain saw where it became a special effect.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that shit bothers me. I know we have a lot of special effects in movies. My brain accepts most of it. But when there's not a seamless... When you're watching something that's, selling it to you as realistic, and then in a snap it becomes totally unrealistic, that's just how my mind works, is oh, that don't fit.
Like the infamous Yoda from episode 2.
Thank you. and how often does Darth Bane bitch about that? We were just talking about that scene a few days ago, and I'm like, oh, I fucking hate that scene. I cringe. And that's maybe just me, man, is I don't know how to, bridge that threshold, because instantly it takes me out of it. And I know it happens to other people, too, because I heard a lot of that shit about Rogue One and the CGI characters, which I was okay with. It didn't take me out of it. There were a couple of times, just a little, but it was way more subtle than this, in my opinion.
You're right.
Where, it's he's launching 40 feet into the air instantly, and I know inertia, there's some science involved, the Batmobile is flying down the road. But anyways, that scene, I guess the overall tone, and this is my main beef with DC right now. Marvel makes their movies fun. And I'm not saying DC's not.
Well, DC's trying to with this one. Because of how dark and not funny,
I think I just figured it out. Finish your thought. But
it was, this is just kind of dark and depressing, so we're just kind of lightening it up
Batman
for
Superman.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of lighten it up for this one. That's why there's the scene between Aquaman and him talking about, this could be temporary or something.
Right.
And the one scene in the teaser trailer where Cyborg's he looks at Batman, he's like, "Oh, I thought you were a myth," or "I thought you weren't real." And Batman's like, "Oh, I'm real when I need me." Yeah.
And I want to hear, Nate Dogg, I want to hear your thoughts too about the trailer. This just popped in my head.
Right.
I think this is the problem for me. Like, why I can't seem... Every time I see a DC trailer, I would say with the exception of Wonder Woman, which those trailers, I think, have been great. And I think I understand why now. It's tone. It's tone. Like, okay, Batman v Superman, very dark. Too dark. It was for my and I like dark movies. It was just... I don't know. It was dark and meandering, like it didn't know where it was going.
Right, and the whole Batman killing people and
it took it too far. It took it too far.
You bring these two together, and the movie you bring them into, Batman's killing people and Superman dies. I think you were maybe a couple of movies too early with that.
Right.
Like, they could have built up to that Doomsday thing.
It was a lot to accept so fast.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. Really, really fast. And again, it's DC's problem of trying to play catch up with Marvel. They gotta throw all this stuff together, and then they have to, we need something big. Put Doomsday in there,
right,
just kind of do that.
I totally agree, and let me say, I do think it's a DC really / Warner Brothers is the bigger problem,
right?
Because basically, I think DC has an established vision universe, and Warner Brothers is tinkering with it. And here's where I think Warner Brothers goes wrong, okay? And I think for the past 2 years, this is what they've been doing. Catering to what they're hearing. Okay, so let's look at the Marvel movies for a minute.
Okay.
And of course, you can look at it and go, okay, but they were an instant success, so it's not quite the same scenarios like Man of Steel and I think that was Man of Steel's issue too. It was just tone. It was a little too dark for a Superman movie, and then Batman v Superman was even darker.
Again, Superman snapping the neck of Zod at the end, and destroying an entire city.
As they're blowing the city up, I'm going, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, a lot of it is tone, I think, but a lot of it is Warner Brothers going, we hear that they think that's not funny enough. Let's make it funnier. And then what happened with, I heard a lot of people going, it's too much like a Marvel. When we got the teaser trailer,
right?
It's too much like a Marvel movie. So then Warner Brothers goes, oh shit, they don't like the funny. Too much funny. We need some funny, but apparently that was too much funny. So let's incorporate the darkness into the funny, which is like, that doesn't work.
Right, and then their whole thing about coming out was like, oh, well, we're not Marvel. We're not gonna go the Marvel route and everything. And then by not going the Marvel route, you get Batman v Superman.
Right.
And then that just got, even though it made like $900 billion or $1 million, it was not really. It was really dark. It was not funny, not humorous or everything. Wrong storyline. In our opinion,
rumors are they spent almost $1 billion. If you take in how much it cost to make the movie and advertise it, promote it.
Yeah.
Rumor is it cost almost $1 billion.
If the story was done right, if it was if it was a different story, and if it was done right, the movie easily would have made over $1 billion plus. But I know $900 million is still a really successful movie.
I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take one.
But for two of your key figures of your universe, Batman and Superman, to not break $1 billion, that's a problem.
Sure, absolutely. When they announced the Justice League movie, after the Avengers, I said, holy shit, it's going to be the biggest movie ever. after the Avengers made $1 billion, I thought it's going to make 2.
Right.
And yeah, it's hard to look at an $800 million movie as a failure, but it was in a lot of ways. Let's be honest. But I'm gonna take it even a step further because this shit's just popping into my head right now. That's perfect timing. Maybe I need to stop taking notes. Maybe, and I've kind of been like quietly harboring this thought for a long time. Maybe it's not so much DC. Maybe it's not even Warner Brothers. Although, totally. Let's say totally. 'Cause it is them some. Maybe it's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I've heard that complaint too.
Let's look at Zack Snyder's movies, okay? Put Batman, and if this is what they're... And I don't think this is what they're planning on doing because I heard they're getting rid of Zack Snyder.
Right.
If the plan was to bring the... I'm drawing a blank, Nate. The Watchmen.
Okay.
If the plan was to bring the Watchmen into this universe, put Batman v Superman into the Watchmen movie, and it fits almost perfectly. Tone-wise.
Right.
Doesn't it feel like a... Okay, so let's look at what other movies Zack Snyder has made. 300.
Yeah, again, dark.
The scene where... The nightmare scene, whatever you want to fucking call that, where Batman has the goggles and the trench coat.
Right.
Doesn't that feel like 300?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can go through... I don't know all of his movies. That's what IMDb is for. You do some homework out there, people. But if you go through his repertoire, and that's his strong point, is visual worlds. Nobody ever said Zack Snyder's a great storyteller, because I don't think that's his strong point. But visually, I've heard a lot of people say that, that is his strong point. He looks for the best shot. And you can look at Batman v Superman without the story and go, there's some pretty sick looking scenes.
Yeah.
If you're watching it with the sound off. So, I mean, I've been quietly kind of like... Because I loved Watchmen. I did. And I was a Zack Snyder fan for a little bit. And I actually loved 300. Maybe he's just, maybe he's not cut out for an entire universe. Like they handed it to him in the beginning.
Yeah, and then they realized... Yeah, probably not. And then after Batman Superman, they gave creative control of the universe to Jeff Johns.
Right. And
Jeff Johns has been overseeing the universe ever since.
Didn't Snyder do Man of Steel also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe he did, yeah.
Okay. Which is very, very much the same tone.
Exactly.
But so here's what I'm saying is like, this idea that, like, they kind of realize that, pandering to everybody. You can't get everyone on board. You can't take a super fucking dark movie and throw a bunch of shit ton of funny one-liners.
Right.
I mean, maybe you can. Maybe Jeremy's wrong. Maybe it's going to be a kick-ass movie, and I hope it is, people. I love DC. Again, I'm not one of those people that's like, fuck Marvel, I refuse to watch a Marvel movie. I know people like that, and I think it's retarded.
Yeah, and this is the problem with them rushing everything. Marvel, with Infinity War coming out next year, they've had, Iron Man came out in 2008, so basically they've had 10 years of molding this universe to, with solo films and then the big film. A couple of solo films, the big film. Kind of going that way. Whereas DC, they're basically breaking into this. They broke into this universe with Batman and Superman fighting each other. Mm-hmm. We're not. Whereas they could have went, and they probably don't want to hear about this, but they go the Marvel route, where you get the Ben Affleck Batman solo movie. It could be, I don't even know if you can go an origin because they, what they're doing with Spider-Man, which we'll get to in a little bit, is we know the origin story. Mm-hmm. So they could do something else with that. And then at the end, there would be a little, a scene that sets up the Wonder Woman movie that's coming out later this year. And then build it up, scene at the end. Mm-hmm. Maybe those two, maybe a Flash movie for the third one, and then do a Justice League. Mm-hmm. And then a couple more movies, and then the second Justice League.
Right.
Where you have a chance to hash out these characters. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing this? And just kind of flesh them out a little bit, so by the time the Justice League comes out, you're not having to spend some of the movie kind of getting to know some of these characters. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's a very valid point. That you're wasting most of the movie trying to explain to the audience what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And I remember thinking when they were talking about the Justice League movie a couple years ago, why are we not getting a Batman movie first?
Right.
Immediately, I'm a Batman fan. I'm a Bat fan, I am. I'm not trying to be biased, maybe I am, but he's the flagship. So, you come off of these great Nolan films, and Batman is more popular than ever. How did Marvel start this universe? By taking a very successful Marvel character, focus on him, put a good actor in there, and I think that DC was like thinking that, we need somebody big, we gotta have our own Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So they went chasing after Ben Affleck. I'm not saying it's a bad move yet. I think the verdict is still out.
The early returns is that he's been a great Batman.
I like
early returns.
I don't necessarily like what they're doing with the character, but he as Batman, I like. But
I think if they didn't go the murderous route with Batman, we would get a better sense of the Batman character.
Here's what I was thinking when I was watching Batman vs. Superman. You know how we were just talking about, like, wasting 2/3 of the film or half the film trying to explain what's going on or who these people are to us. Even though we know origin stories already. It was not necessary to show us the alley scene again. It wasn't. And I have to believe, man, like we're talking about Zack Snyder, I have to believe, bro, that was like Snyder going, no, I have a vision for that. And I know he was told that, but I'm going to do it differently, and it's going to look fantastic. A guy that is visually oriented, and he knows the story. We all know the story. Mm-hmm. And in his mind, he's like, but I can make it better. Which it's been done well before. You don't need to make it better.
Right. And that also calls into a little bit of arrogance on their part, too. Whereas I'm going to tell you what I think the origin story is,
right.
And just kind of altering origins of certain things, not necessarily,
not changing them, but altering.
Not necessarily in the DC or the Marvel universe, but more in like the X-Men universe, where as far as the costumes, where they made all the costumes leather and black and everything instead of their traditional, the Wolverine yellow and blue, and Storm's big flowing white outfit that she had, in the animated series and everything, and kind of making everything uniform. It was all weird and everything, and of course that's another topic for another day.
But
anyway.
If you think back to the X-Men movies, there was a lot of complaints about that.
Yes, that
we
too.
Did that, and they stuck by their guns, and they didn't give in. They didn't. All right, fuck it. The next movie we'll just throw them all in. I mean, there was a couple of scenes in Futures Past.
Right.
Okay, there was a nod. But they didn't. We got 3 movies of the leather outfit, and by the time we had seen the 3rd movie, everybody always adjusted to it. And this is a point I'm trying to make about the DC universe, that you can't just shove shit down my throat. Like, I need time to digest it. Like, I don't like murderous Batman, but if he's going to be murderous, you got to tell me why. You got to, you got to slowly tell that story. not motherfuckers just mowing people down, and you're like, oh man, that seems a little harsh. And there's no real Alfred. I used to believe in not using guns, but you know what I mean? That one scene, it doesn't even have to be 2 minutes. It's like character development. I mean, I write a little bit. I'm not a storyteller. I'm not proclaiming I'm anything great, but I know you have to develop characters in the story, or it doesn't matter how fucking good the overall plot line is. If the audience walks away going, I don't understand the characters.
Right.
It don't matter how good the story is. And they didn't even have a good story, so they missed on both of them.
And the X-Men franchise, they kind of gave themselves an out with Days of Future Past,
right?
Where they changed the timeline so that the third X-Men film never happened.
Right, because a lot of people didn't like it.
Because everybody did, the professor dies. And Jean Grey is killed by Wolverine and everything, and then they do time travel in Days of Future Past, and they change the timeline, and then Logan wakes up, and everybody's fine. Like, oh, I thought you were dead. Oh, what are you talking about? We've always been here.
And I bought it, though. I like that movie. And the reason I like that movie is there's a good story.
Right.
There's a good story there. And also in defense of like what we're talking about, in defense of the X-Men franchise, by the time we hit Days of Future Past, those first 3 movies established those characters, if you didn't know them by now,
right,
very well. I mean, the average audience guy that's not a comic book reader or whatever, by the time you're watching Days of Future Past, you're like, yeah, I know who these people are. That's why you could time travel and change the actor and still believe the character.
Yeah.
Here we have DC, Warner Brothers, that, they're just rushing everything.
But like I said, because of the X-Men precedent now, that gives Warner Brothers and DC Universe, if it goes into a shithole, then they could just have Flash time travel and kind of fix everything so Batman's not a murderous bastard.
This is Nate, copyright Nate Dogg, this is Nate's theory that if they keep making shit movies and they have to reboot it, that's how they're going to reboot it. And it's pretty brilliant, actually. If they decide to reboot, maybe you should write a letter to Warner Brothers. Like,
I got this idea.
Free of charge, I'm not even going to ask for anything, but here, use this please.
Right.
Don't fuck it up any more than you already have. And I know we hate on DC quite a bit on this podcast, but truth be told, I'm at the core a DC fan. I really am. I mean, I love Batman. I guess if you love Batman, it's hard to love Superman as well. It just is.
Right.
But I don't hate Superman. I like Superman. He's in my top 5. He is. Maybe top 10. But he's up there. I like the character. So, it's really more disappointment than like, oh, fuck you guys. It's more like, why can't you get this shit right? I'll sum up my feelings on the trailer. An improvement, but not much. I feel like it's all over the place, man.
Well,
the one-liners, I hope that's a trailer effect. I really do. I don't want to watch. In a Marvel movie, it works because it's lighthearted. You know what I mean? The environment's different in a Marvel movie. One-liners work. One-liners in Guardians of the Galaxy works.
Well, one-liners work in this universe too. If you look at the animated movies and stuff, there was kind of a back and forth between Batman and Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And some of them where it's like,
I guess I meant,
oh, you really do dress like a bat, and then he's like, wait a minute, don't tell me you're just a rich guy that just dresses up like a bat at night, and then Batman just kind of look at him and just like kind of smiles and it just walks away, and it's like, oh.
And one-liners do work in the DC universe. I think I meant more like this cinematic universe that they have started to create. And I'm not against one-liners. It just...
I think and of course we haven't seen a lot of the Flash in these two. We've just seen him, we've seen the one scene where he kind of goes back and forth with Bruce, and then him in like a quick action sequence, there. But we don't know what kind of dialogue he is, because Barry Allen's character is very quick-witted. Mm-hmm. He can trade jabs with you, verbal jabs, back and forth like nothing. He thinks this is all just a big game and everything.
Right.
So we have yet to see how this actor is going to bring Barry Allen to the screen in this movie.
Right.
Now, it could turn out that he do some verbal jazz with like some of the enemies, or maybe the Batman or Aquaman or something.
I like the scene that we were talking about with the between him and Batman. He seems funny in that scene. I mean, it brought a smile to my face. I maybe didn't laugh out loud, but it brought a smile to my face. And I kind of think like maybe he was intended to be the comic relief, but maybe it seems more like now they're leaning more towards Aquaman and Batman, and there's comic relief between the two of them. I don't know. Maybe, and again, maybe this is DC having a response to the Flash problems that we've heard.
Yeah.
The movie has gone through several directors. It's in a total rewrite right now, and it's actually in limbo. They don't even know if they're going to do it at this very moment. And so maybe, and I've heard other people say this, I think some of the problem is Warner Brothers' fucking knee-jerk reactions to everything. I picture guys in suits with pie charts in board meetings going, right now the kids want humor. They want one-liners. Look what Marvel's doing. Let's break down what's his name from Guardians of the Galaxy? The Drax?
Drax, right.
Fucking awesome one-liners.
Yes.
We need a character like that. We got to throw some one-liners.
They pick up a red phone and it's direct connect to Jeff Johns. We need more jokes in the movie. Do it now.
Right. And I feel like that they've been doing that for a long time now, like for a few years with this universe. When really it should just be like, somebody needs to have a vision and follow through with it. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work, okay, then it didn't work. Time to go back to the drawing board. But this, like, while we're in the middle of building this universe, this isn't working. This is working. This isn't working. This is working.
Yeah.
It's becoming a clusterfuck. It just is. Like, that trailer, like I said, it seemed better, but it still seemed all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's a bigger, let's say this about DC, it's a bigger universe than Marvel, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel has a couple of characters, the universe is more expanded, like Guardians is, the entire galaxy or whatever.
Right.
But really, you could say pretty easily that DC's universe is bigger. So I understand you've got other elements like Wonder Woman, and her history and origin, and you have cosmic characters, and you have to find a way to bring them all together. But I don't know. I don't see the vision, man.
Yeah, I think the best way to sum up this trailer would be cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
It looks good, but we have to see what Wonder Woman does in the box office too. Mm-hmm. To build, because if that does well, then that's gonna grow our optimism for Justice League, because then we'll be like, okay, it looks like they're on the right track. Get you excited for Justice League.
So Wonder Woman is in May?
Yes, I believe. Yes.
So too. So then June, July, August, September, October. They still have 6 months before that movie goes.
Yep, another 6 months.
I'm wondering if they did that shit on purpose in case, this knee-jerk reaction stuff I'm talking about. Reshoots.
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
That worked. That didn't.
Yeah, so people didn't like this scene. Well, we'll just reshoot
I'll
this scene.
I'll bet you the next trailer we see for Justice League after Wonder Woman is going to have a different feel. I'll bet you. Just the way that that's the way they've been doing things.
Yep.
This is the reaction we're getting. Let's go that way.
And a lot can happen between now and when Wonder Woman comes out, and even after Wonder Woman comes out, between then and Justice League. Somebody could quit. Somebody,
Hey,
that
universe is totally in limbo right now.
yeah,
I
exactly.
was just telling Nate today, I had heard, and I didn't read anything about it. It was just a headline. I had heard that fucking Ben Affleck's in rehab, or just got out of rehab or something. And I had seen some shit on the internet or the Inquirer at work about he's turned to the bottle. Batman's boozing. And we all know he's got a lot of personal shit going on in his life.
Warner Brothers is driving him to drink.
Right. Between that and a woman, that's enough right there.
Hell yeah.
So apparently there's some truth to it that he was in rehab or is in rehab for, I didn't really hear what, but I just assumed it was drinking. Because I had seen all these headlines about, he's drinking. He's drinking! Batman's getting wasted! He can't take this universe either! Shit, where were they going with this? So yeah, basically, I mean, I talked to Jeff at work, not maintenance Jeff, shop Jeff, and we were talking about the two trailers, and he's like, I brought up Spider-Man, and then he's like, we talked about it for a second, he's like, but did you see the Justice League trailer? And I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't see it from the same perspective he did.
Right.
But he is one of those dudes that is like, fuck Marvel.
Oh, so yeah, he'll like DC regardless of what they put out, kind of.
I mean, I try to give people credit like that and go, maybe they just see it with different eyes than I do. But there's a lot of fanboy haters.
Yeah,
I don't get that, man. I guess maybe I'm older. Maybe I can look at and go, well, they're both appealing to me. Why would I choose just one side? Maybe it's a young person thing. But anyways, I'm going to say something that I thought I would never say in my entire life. But fuck the Justice League. Let's get to Spider-Man.
Yes, the other big trailer that dropped this week was the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. Which gave us a lot more of the movie than the previous teaser trailer that came out before it. Early thoughts on it is that it looks amazing. We've got a little more kind of the plot was kind of revealed a little bit too. We see what looks to be a spider tracer that comes off of Spider-Man at the beginning and kind of flies away and goes somewhere. We don't know where it goes, but it looks like they introduced the spider tracer.
I heard a lot of people bitching about that.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're all DC fans.
Yeah, probably. They're like, yeah, Superman did that first.
Right. I thought it was pretty kick-ass.
We see a lot more of the Vulture, and of course, Michael Keaton.
Oh, we're going to talk about the Vulture. Yes, we'll get to that.
Yes. It's obviously this takes place after the events of Civil War. Peter is back in New York and kind of doing his Spider-Man thing.
So, I'm going to present a theory I heard on a video. In the trailer, we see plenty of the new spider suit that the badass Tony Stark made.
Right.
But we also see Spider-Man in the hoodie and pajama look.
Right.
The original suit that he made.
Right, before Civil War, because I think there was a YouTube video of him, I think, in that suit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the Spider-Man suit that was given to him it's Civil War.
Right. Actually, if you watch Civil War, and I just happen to get lucky and catch it, because I don't think it's pointed out in the movie. They do show that suit, the homemade one. It's hanging in his room.
I think so. Yeah.
I can't remember if Tony Stark looks at it and the camera looks at it, or if it's just in the background and I saw it. I'm not sure. I can't quite remember how it plays out. But there, in his bedroom is the homemade Spider-Man suit. Yeah. And so in this trailer, you actually get quite a bit of story kind of revealed.
Yeah.
We know that at some point, and this is the theory that I want to delve into just for a second. So there's this scene, great fucking scene at the end, towards the end, where, like I said, there's quite a bit of story that was kind of revealed. We didn't know shit about this movie, really, other than Peter Parker's young, before this trailer. But the scene where the cruise liner, and Spider-Man makes reference to drug runners, and all of a sudden the Vulture comes flying in and rips the cruise liner down the middle in half, and Spider-Man is trying to hold it each side together and struggling, and here comes Iron Man. And that was a badass scene for me. When I saw that, I actually was I was giddy, holy shit, Iron Man's saving Spider-Man's ass. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Straight out the fucking comic books. I read comic books like that when I was a kid. Never in my mind would I think I would ever grow up to watch a kick-ass movie and see it on the big screen. It's just cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we see, Spider-Man, they kind of, let us know that he's young, and like most young people, he's impatient, has big dreams, a little unrealistic, and you see a lot of that kind of, those tones in the trailer, because there's this scene where Tony Stark comes to him, and he's like, I need the suit back. And he's like, what you did out there, you dropped the ball. I need the suit back.
Yeah. The scene is obviously as after the boat incident, and he's like, you could have got people killed out there. And Peter's like, well, I'm just trying to do what you do. And Tony comes back and says, well, I want you to be better. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to need the suit back. And then Peter's like, but I'm nothing without this suit. And then Tony immediately comes back and is like, if you are nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it at all. And
I was kind of thinking to myself, well, eat crow, young man, because what are you without your suit?
But I think he's coming from the point where Tony went through this already, because it was kind of like that crisis, and I want to say it was Iron Man 3. I think it was the third one. It was after the events of the Avengers, where he sent a nuclear missile into the dark Chitauri space or whatever.
Right.
And he just kind of has these panic attacks and everything, and he kind of he's like, what am I without all of these suits? I'm just Tony Stark, and everything. And eventually he comes to the realization that I can do stuff without being in the Iron Man suit. Mm-hmm. I could be something without the suit, and I think that's something that he had to come to grips with and had to come to a crossroads with. And it sounds like Peter Parker is kind of in that same mindset, I can't do this without this suit.
Right.
And of course, and the director of this says he was asked if this is going to be a different Tony Stark that we see in this movie, and he's like, yes, it's the events of the Civil War changed him, and everything, and you kind of get this father and son type of dynamic between him and Peter Parker, kind of a mentor, and and Tony's not quite sure how to do that, because there's a couple of scenes, where it's in the trailer where he's like, don't worry about the giant flying monster. There are people that take care of this for you. Right. Obviously, alluding to the Avengers as they show the giant Avengers Tower. And if you notice in the scene when he's talking to Peter Parker at Avengers Tower, standing right behind him is his buddy, the director of the previous Iron Man movies, John Favreau.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He made an appearance? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, he's standing right behind Tony Stark as he's walking down. If you take a look at the trailer again, John Favreau is standing right behind him because he was, in the movies, he was kind of Iron Man's version of Rhodey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pretty much the non-superhero, you know, right-hand man.
Right. He actually directed the Iron Man, the original.
Right. He did the
first two?
I think he did the first two, or I think it was the first two, because I don't think he did the third one.
And did he do any other, or was it just Iron Man?
I think it was just Iron Man, I want to say.
But mad respect for Favreau. I like him a lot. The first Iron Man movie, one of my favorite all-time superhero movies. I think the whole events of Civil War, I think on purpose, have altered the MCU.
Yeah.
Forever. And I think this is all planned. It's the next phase 4 that's coming, or whatever we're on.
Right. And there's kind of a loophole, there's kind of a plot hole in the trailer. There's a scene where Peter Parker and his best friend, they say his name yet.
I don't
his
know.
sidekick, I guess.
The fat kid.
Yeah, the fat kid. And they're sitting in phys ed class and they're watching an old video, it looks like, of Captain America in his original form, in his uniform, talking about, physical fitness is number one and all this stuff. Whatever he's saying.
America, and you need to get yourself physically fit.
Right. Just inject yourself with some experimental drugs.
Don't do what I did, kid.
But if this is taking place after Civil War, Captain America is a fugitive from the law now.
Oh yeah.
So why are they showing a video of Captain America? And I read an article with a theory about this, is maybe the public doesn't know
that he's wanted,
that he's a fugitive. Maybe Tony Stark is keeping him being a fugitive under wraps.
Kind of makes sense. I mean, the what did they call that order? Or whatever it was called.
The document that they signed?
Yeah,
the Sokovia Accords.
Sokovia Accords. So it kind of sounds like a government CIA thing, and we all know the CIA don't tell the public shit.
And we all know that Tony Stark is a multi-billionaire, so he's got the money to kind of keep this quiet, and I'm sure S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of helping with this too. Right. You don't want it coming out that, Captain America has betrayed America.
Right.
He's now a fugitive from the United States.
Exactly.
And it's just not going to be. It's not good PR. But you do get this father-son mentor role with him and Peter Parker, and he's being hard on him, but like he said, he wants him to be better than he is.
I want to talk about this for a second, because we got some news late this week about Sony and their feelings, and Marvel and the MCU and their feelings about the future of these characters. So I've kind of said this for you. When they started talking about Marvel, started talking about phases, and in the next phase, I said to myself, and this was years ago, they will have. I said, even when like Spider-Man seemed unattainable, I was like, it's Disney. They'll end up shelling out enough money, because in the comic books that I loved the Avengers. I didn't read a whole lot of Marvel, but I read the shit out of X-Men. I read the shit out of Iron Man. I'm an Iron Man fan from way back. And I remember stumbling upon the Avengers. First comic book I ever got of the Avengers was in Bridgman Harding's. when I was a little guy. I remember they used to have the comic book stand for years in there.
Yeah.
That little spindle. And first time I ever saw the Avengers, and Spider-Man was on the cover, so this was later Avengers. Anyways, fast forward, when they started talking about these phases, I was like, well, okay, they're going to have Spider-Man is eventually the future. Because Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. has been ho-humming for years, and I don't know if I want to do another one. Okay, I'll do 2 more. And we all know that's coming to an end soon. So, this movie, when I first saw what they were doing, because Tony Stark and Spider-Man and the relationship you see in Civil War, I walked out of there going, see, it's all clear now. It makes sense that he is going to be like the mentor and eventually pass the torch off to Peter. But now I don't know. And now, after just a couple of days ago, what was the news that we heard, Nate, about...
After it was basically kind of hinted at that after the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel that the rights to Spider-Man would revert back to Sony. And obviously a lot can happen between now and I think the sequel comes out about 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. And a lot can happen between now and then. It could be by the time that comes out, they re-up a deal for another 2, 3, maybe 4 years or something. Or maybe they're just like, you know what? Take the Spider-Man franchise, give us something in return or something. Maybe they'll just do an exchange like they did for the second Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Ego the planet. And in return, Deadpool got, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, so,
right.
They could work out something like that. But I don't, at least I hope that they don't give Spider-Man back to Sony.
And fracture the universe.
And kind of mess up the whole universe because, you introduce Spider-Man into the Avengers. And then a couple years later, then he's not going to be in the Avengers.
Right. See, that's the real problem. If you're not going to bring him into the universe, like, okay, I didn't like that. And a lot of people, Spider-Man fans especially, didn't like it. But, okay, if you're not going to do it or you can't do it, we won't talk about Spider-Man. He doesn't exist in this universe.
Right.
Now he does. And now you...
And you can't take him away.
No. I mean... What, are you going to kill the young kid? Or you can't kill Spider-Man because then Sony will be like, no, fuck you can't do that.
Right. It's like the same thing. Like if Tony Stark, if Iron Man was the property of Sony and they had worked out a deal to bring Iron Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's no way in hell that after, let's say it's a 3-year deal, after 3 years Sony's going to take back Iron Man, and then he doesn't exist in the Avengers universe. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It's weird, yeah. I had heard Tom Holland is his first name.
Yes.
He and I didn't actually know this, so he belongs to Sony, and we know Spider-Man belongs to Sony, and Marvel is kind of leasing him right now.
Yeah, basically.
But Tom Holland's deal is with Sony. Which, I thought that was really interesting. He has a 6-picture deal with Sony. So you can break that down for a moment. And that leads in a lot of different directions when you kind of stop and think about it. So he's done 2 if you count Homecoming.
Right, this would be number 2.
So Civil War, Homecoming, the Homecoming sequel.
That'd be 3.
That's half of them all right there. The other 3 could be appearances. It could be that
let's cut Infinity War.
He's going to be in that.
So that's 3. So then that would be 4 now.
4, right. So that leaves 2 more open spots. And is Infinity War still a part 2?
Well, then that would be 5.
5. So then you leave. So this is the video I watched, and they were talking about, and we're going to brush upon this today, and then we'll talk about it more in the future. The Venom.
Yes.
The Venom trilogy or movies that Sony wants to make. So this video I was watching, this guy was basically saying, and he was counting them down just like we did, Tom Holland's pictures that he's going to be in, and he's like, so that really leaves one open spot that is in his contract, which if Sony goes, okay, it's a lease period. Here you go. We're gonna throw you a Spider-Man. You build him up for us. You make him a big deal. We're gonna let him be in Civil War. We're gonna let him be in the 2 Infinity War movies, and then the deal ends there. And then the last picture, they go, now we're throwing you into the Venom universe. Because Marvel has built you up to a demigod, and now we're going to throw you into the little universe that we're trying to create, and you'll be the rocket boost that takes it to the moon. Right. And I was like, shit, that kind of makes sense. We'll see. Time will tell what happens.
But I think what they should do is that Marvel Universe, owned by Disney, Disney's got some cash.
Yeah.
Buy out his contract, buy out the Spider-Man character, say, look, we'll pay you $2 billion.
I don't think they'll do it. This is what someone was saying, someone on a video was saying, we all know Disney has the money to do it, and the means, and they ain't shy about anything. And I think they want Spider-Man. I think you got to think about it like this. Okay, so they make this agreement with Sony, a temporary agreement to bring Spider-Man into their universe. They're not stupid. They know that they're creating a demigod for Sony when they hand it back. So I would have to think that originally Disney came at them and said, how much do you want?
Yeah.
And I think from what I've been hearing, from a couple of videos I've seen and stuff, that Sony's like, no. We have Spider-Man and we have nothing else. and I don't know if you guys know, but there's been a lot of trouble with Sony Pictures. They've kind of fucked over the Spider-Man franchise. They haven't put anything big out in a number of years.
Yeah.
They're making a killing with PS4s and whatnot, but the movie side of their business is struggling. So maybe Disney has already said, here's a check, give me a number. And I think what's going on is Sony's like, we're not doing it. We'll work with you, but we're not giving them up. And if that's the case, that's really sad.
It really is.
That's really sad, and fucking, if that's the case, then we have to not pray that Spider-Man sucks, obviously, but every other Sony movie sucks. Until they just have no more fucking money at all to make movies, and they're like, okay, what were you saying, $4 billion? No, bitch, 2. It's $2 billion now.
$2 billion now. You screwed yourself.
Right. Because, I don't know, man. I'm not a big Spider-Man fanboy, but he belongs in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I think we're all in cohesion about that. He belongs with the Avengers. And like I was saying about this movie, Homecoming, you have to think that Disney, okay, they're setting him up. It seems like they're setting him up as Tony Stark's protege, apprentice. If this was a Star Wars film, he would be a Padawan.
Right.
So Disney, knowing that, I don't think Sony wrote the script. I'm sure Disney had a big part in that, or Marvel. They have to be thinking, we're doing this because we're planning on the future. We're going to set up this father-son apprentice thing and apprentice and master thing because he's going to be our main man eventually. Why else would they go, yeah, let's bring Tony Stark as a father figure into it? Unless they were thinking, oh, here you go, Sony. We're going to set you up and then take Tony Stark out of the picture.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense. It makes more sense that he is following the comic book timeline and is the event. And Sony and Marvel already knows something. And in the future, we're getting him. And maybe 10, 15 years from now. But overall, I loved this trailer. I really did. This movie makes me giddy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this.
Like, I saw this and I was like, I want to go see this now.
Yeah, where there's a lot of trepidation, hesitation with some of the DC stuff. This movie, I saw the trailer and I'm like, fuck yes.
Take my money.
Yeah, take it. It's the same feeling I get when I see Guardians. Like, just keep making these movies. Go, make more. Go make more. You're not doing it right now? Go make more. Because I think I haven't even seen... Well, I mean, we got a little taste of... In Civil War, we got a taste of Tony Stark and this Tom Holland Spider-Man. They work well together, man. There's a good chemistry.
Yeah.
I could watch 3 films with just those 2 characters and, you know, and kick-ass bad guys and whatever, and a decent story. But, yeah, there's a magic between the 2 of those characters that I don't want to see that end. Speaking of magical characters, Nate and I are both in agreement that so far, the Vulture, played by Batman himself, Michael Keaton, looks badass. They are teasing us hardcore about this character.
Yeah.
We've only gotten little tidbits of the Vulture. I don't really know the Vulture that well, the character. I always kind of thought he was more of a sub-villain than in one of the bigger baddies. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the Spider-Man universe that well. But, man, Michael Keaton. I am so geeked up for that.
Yeah, and it's I think the way they're portraying the Vulture in this one is that he kind of sounds like an ex-Tony Stark employee.
I've disgruntled, yeah.
Yeah, like he was fired for some reason. You know, because there's this little part in the trailer where he's like, you know, Tony Stark and people like him, they don't care about people like us.
Yeah, and there's a vengeance vibe.
Right.
Yeah, like it's personal. Yeah, I kind of thought that too. I don't know if I was necessarily thinking former Stark Industry employee, but that's a good idea. But it's definitely personal for him.
Yeah.
Whatever happened with him and Tony, something happened. I've heard reports that suit is something that was Stark Industries.
Yeah, it probably
looks, if you look at the Falcon and you look at the there's some similarities in the suit.
Yeah, like maybe he breaks in and he gets it or something, or maybe it's just something that he develops in secret using Stark tech or something.
Yeah, tech. It's interesting that there's a lot of technology in this movie. Like you can tell they're pushing the idea of technology. I think that's going to be a plot point. And maybe it's just about the suit. Maybe that's the angle they're going for. Is they're gonna throw so much fucking kick-ass technology at you and then take his suit away. That's something I wanted to touch upon. There was this video I watched, and this guy's theory was that if you watch the trailer, it looks like we see Spider-Man in the Iron Man suit, the new spider suit. Mm-hmm. I don't want to confuse people. It's not the Iron Spider suit.
No.
But the new Spider-Man suit. And then in 2/3 of the way through the trailer, that scene where Tony says, I gotta have the suit back. And then you see him in his pajama suit, or whatever you want to call it, the homemade suit. And then at the very end of the trailer, he's back in the iron suit again. Sorry, I'm going to confuse people if I start saying that. The new Spider-Man suit. So this guy was saying, I don't think it works that way. He said, what I think happens is we're going to start off the movie with him in the new Spider-Man suit. He's going to fuck up, and Tony's going to take it away, and then it's kind of like you were saying, and this guy was saying kind of the same thing. It's like a coming of age. Like he has to fight the Vulture, and you do see that scene that looks kind of like it's the end of the movie maybe, where the Vulture, they're in some like warehouse of some sort,
mm-hmm.
and the Vulture is like waiting for him, and Spider-Man is walking towards him.
Yeah.
And that kind of feels like that might be near the end of the movie. And he's in the homemade Spider-Man suit. So this guy's theory was that the movie's going to end with him not having Tony Stark's suit, the new Spider-Man suit. Which, if they do that, it gives them an opportunity to... Maybe in the sequel, he'll have the Iron Spider suit.
Or maybe at the end of the movie, the end credit scene or something.
A brand new
suit. He gives him the Iron Spider suit.
You earned this, kid.
You know, and and
You did it yourself. You
right,
did
and then maybe that there'll be a scene kind of to lead into Infinity War, probably.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll make a reference to, here's your new suit, kid, because you're gonna need it because there's something big coming this way.
Yeah.
Kind of something like that.
Like, God, we might be unraveling the movie right now. Like, okay, so the whole big picture of the movie is I can't do it without the suit. Well, then you don't deserve the suit. So he realizes, fuck, I have these powers. I gotta take them on without the suit. He earns it the hard way because you see that scene, which is probably near the end also, near the end of the trailer, where he's on the jet plane.
Yeah.
And he's in the homemade suit. And he's kicking ass or whatever. So maybe the storyline, the story arc is that he figures out, I have to do this. He's right, I have to do this without the suit. And he does. And then like you said, Tony Stark's reward, because we've heard some hints about like, I want to be an Avenger. How do I be an Avenger?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Tony Stark's reward is, here kid.
You're an official Avenger.
Yeah, you're going to need this suit because you're an Avenger now. And we deal with a lot bigger issues and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe, because I don't think we're going to see a lot of Spider-Man in Infinity War. I think we're going to see...
Well, it's going to be it's going to be the biggest movie ever.
It's hard to even wrap your
produced.
mind around it. It's hard
Ever
to
made.
It's hard to think about 60-something characters is what I keep hearing.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of big names in it, and we're thinking it's got to be a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's 2 parts, but
Even
there's got to be some equal
You gotta, yeah, right.
screen time for some of these people too.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Well, I think we're gonna definitely see some characters in the background as Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see. I'm not that well versed in the Marvel universe, but obscure characters in the background behind Tony talking or something, and you're gonna lose your load about. Oh my God, there's oh man, what's the big giant guy? I'm so bad with Marvel characters. No, not Colossus.
The
Galactus? The guy that can grow to like giant.
What was he in Civil War? They haven't.
No, he's not been in the movie.
Well, I mean, they did do Galactus as a giant fucking cloud, thanks to Fantastic Four. Those fuckers.
Never saw it. That movie doesn't exist to me. As long as I don't watch it, it doesn't exist.
There's a lot of characters that grow in size and everything, but
it's irrelevant. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there'll probably be some Easter egg characters in the background where you're like, oh my God, and that person probably never even talks. Because there's going to be 60-something characters.
Yes.
It's just mind-blowing.
Maria Hill and Nick Fury and, of course, Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and, of course, some new characters that they're going to be adding to this one, too. The Guardians.
So many big
But now I hear that the Guardians are not going to play that big of a role in Infinity War for some reason.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of the recent rumors I hear, like... It was an article. It was like, "Oh, you think the Guardians are going to have a significant role in the movie?" Well, guess again.
It makes sense.
So, I mean, yeah, it does make sense, but out of all of them, they've had the most run-ins with an Infinity Stone.
Right. Right. It almost seems like they were setting it up for that.
Right, and of course, Guardians. The second Guardians might explain how Peter Quill was able to withstand one of the Infinity Stones when they kind of explained in the first one that everybody to touch it,
right,
disintegrated.
Right.
But then he touches it,
dance off,
and he's
baby.
like,
dance off.
He's like, "Oh, I'm not disintegrating. Everybody hold my hand," and then kind of evenly distributed the power or whatever. But maybe we'll get a little better explanation.
I think we will, and I think some of that explanation will
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, we'll have Kurt Russell explaining it. well, you're my son. I think the father connection is probably why he withstood that, or can withstand such power.
Yeah, and maybe we'll learn a little bit more just who Ego the Living Planet exactly is.
I have never read a single Guardians of the Galaxy comic.
Yeah.
You either?
No, I haven't either.
So all of this, as it unravels, is completely new to me. I don't have any origin or anything with that world, no knowledge of it. But yeah, like we were saying, Spider-Man, Michael Keaton looks fabulous. I mean, even if you strip the kick-ass armor off of him, because that's where they better understand he's a fucking great actor, and that we need to use that.
Yeah, he the way he delivers his lines, it sounds menacing.
Mm-hmm.
We've all heard that line is like, don't mess with me, kid, because I will kill you and everyone that you love.
And it reminds me of,
and it feels like you feel like he means it.
Right.
That's the thing.
That's called acting chops.
Well,
kid.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It reminds me of that scene, going all the way back to Batman 1989, where he goes to Vicky Vale's house and the Joker comes
right,
and he gets a little fucking
and he
dark
goes
and nuts.
Yeah.
What does he say? I can't remember what he says.
Say, come on, boy, you want to dance? Let's dance.
Yeah, and that same ferociousness or veracity, whatever you want to call it, is in this trailer. When he speaks, you're like, damn, that dude seems menacing. Is a good word for it. He means business when he's telling Peter, stay out of this, kid. I'll kill everyone you know. Okay, all right, done deal. I mean, I cannot wait to see him in that role. I hope they don't underuse him. I really don't.
Yeah, I hope they don't.
Again, it's a Spider-Man and Tony Stark movie. I get that.
Right.
It's not a Michael Keaton Vulture movie. But man, I hope somebody hired him for a reason. They didn't just throw anybody in there. They said, let's get. What about Michael Keaton? So hopefully somebody realizes, dude's a fucking great actor.
Yeah, and there were early rumors out of this when they were first developing this, was since they added Robert Downey Jr. to this, that they weren't going to have the money for both him
I remember that.
and Michael Keaton.
I remember that.
Now, if that was true, maybe they ponied up the money and say, you know what, we'll pay
Disney
you.
did.
Yeah, we will pay you whatever it takes to have you and him in this movie together.
Yeah.
So maybe it came to a point,
That
it's like, you know
sounds
what?
like-
They open the checkbook, what is it going to take?
Yeah.
And then we'll just pay you whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like...
And this could be a big payoff if Michael Keaton delivers the performance which we both think he is going to.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Nate and I have talked about this.
And he will win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in a movie.
We're pulling for it. We're calling it right now.
Yes, because superhero movies need to be recognized.
It's time.
For what they are. Fuck Suicide Squad. They fucking won an award, so now it's...
Right. And maybe that was the opening of the gate.
Hopefully, yeah. If that's the opening of the gate, then good job,
Sure.
Suicide Squad.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know how they won an award at the Oscars, but okay, if that opens the door for the future, for the Academy to start considering, because we've seen some fucking great performances in superhero movies. We really have.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you go back to Nolan's trilogy, some great acting.
Mm-hmm.
That would never even get thrown into the talk of Oscars. Just because, no, it's a superhero movie. Even though that barely was, that universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're obviously psyched about Michael Keaton being the main baddie in this movie. The trailer looks great. Like I said, there's just a pop to it. There's so many elements in that movie. And here we are, we started this podcast off talking about DC, and there's too much shit in their universe. But here's Spider-Man, and okay, so in this movie it almost feels like a John Hughes movie in a way.
Yeah.
With the high school vibe and the young, it's the millennial Spider-Man is what they're doing. Set in high school, so you got that factor going on. It kind of feels like a high schooler movie, a Ferris Bueller type movie.
Yeah.
And then you also have Tony Stark from the Avengers is in this movie. They're kind of redoing the origin story a little. I mean, there's new actors.
Yeah.
Aunt May is a fucking hottie that Tony's trying to tap.
Tony wants to tap that. Yeah, exactly.
Not quite the Aunt May that I remember reading and stuff in comics and previous movies that we saw.
Yeah. Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I think that's a pretty good casting choice right there.
Right.
You know?
You have all these new characters. The Mary Jane character, who is apparently not Mary Jane.
Yeah, there's they really haven't said who. I think the actress's name is Zendaya or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. We don't know who exactly she plays. Early on, she was reported to play Mary Jane. Now they're saying she's not playing Mary Jane. She's playing some other character. They just really haven't explained who she is yet.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of elements in this movie, but it works. It doesn't feel... I mean, we haven't seen the movie yet, but it doesn't feel mashed together.
No.
Like the DC trailers keep making me feel like these movies are just mashed together with all sorts of things that aren't working. I don't know, man. Marvel is just doing something right. It's hard to put your finger on it, what it even is. I mean... Ask Warner Brothers. They're having a hard time with it, too. Right. I mean, when you hear those fuckers say, we're not going to be Marvel, you know in the back of their minds, they're like, we want to be Marvel, but better. Which is what I want, too. Be Marvel, better.
Yeah, right, exactly.
If that's even possible. I had to see if it was Ralph calling. The Eternal Optimist. So any other thoughts, Nate?
I think you and I are in the same sentiment. The trailer looks awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go see it now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to wait until July 7th to do that.
Still my pick for blockbuster movie of the summer. That's where my...
Right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of potential blockbusters this year.
There's a lot of good movies coming up.
Wonder Woman, Guardians 2, Spider-Man, Justice League, Thor, the new Thor movie coming out. Yeah. Obviously, Star Wars at the very end of the year, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of potential blockbusters. Well, yeah, potential movie of the year candidates, so to speak.
We should end this podcast really fast because we're about to talk about Star Wars, and we never get through one without going through Star Wars. Star Wars news?
They said earlier this week that episode 8 is going to introduce we don't know the official designation of it yet, but they are described as gorilla walkers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I have something to add to this, too.
This one. The way they're saying that they're designed is that the head looks like a gorilla head, in that it has it's bigger, it's got like a steep decline in the back end of it, very heavily armored. It looks like they solved the leg weakness with what they're describing as the front legs are kind of like gorilla hands. It's kind of like they scoop. They kind of scoop along the ground and everything, so kind of eliminating them tripping, using the toe cable to try to trip them. And I told Jeremy earlier this week that I'm hoping that when they introduce these new walkers, that there's going to be some hotshot rebel pilots like, oh, you know what, I know how to do this. And they try to do the cable, and one of the legs just kind of overpowers the cable and then sends this pilot flying into his death or something. And they're like, oh shit, it's not going to work. What are we going to do? Jeremy thinks he wants Poe Dameron to be that pilot that spirals to his death and everything.
Badly hurt. He doesn't gotta die, I guess, but a coma.
Coma for the next 2 movies,
Right.
maybe. You know?
I want to see, ever since I heard the term gorilla walker, that kind of captures the imagination. It really does. But I want to see that fucking walker stand up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On its hind
And
legs.
beat his chest.
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, maybe that part's not. Maybe beating the chest is too much.
Right.
But maybe that's how they get rid of the you can't take me down and I can stand on 2 feet.
That too. It becomes a bipedal
Yeah.
walker.
So it's both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could go on the 4s and then
Right.
maybe, okay, so we'll get up on our 2.
And I'm thinking it's got to be a quicker, more agile. I mean, a gorilla moves pretty fast and is agile, so we'll see.
Yeah, they haven't released a concept art of the whole walker yet.
I think they're waiting for the trailer.
Yeah, I think they're gonna wait for the trailer. They'll probably show it in the trailer.
2 weeks away.
We hope it's got to be really soon because they said spring for this trailer.
Celebration is in 2 weeks.
Is in 2 weeks. So yeah, they will probably release it then.
The 14th through the 16th. So maybe the 14th they show it to everybody there.
The same weekend as the Indiana Comic Con.
Is it?
Yeah, it was the 14th through the 16th, and of course the next week after that is C2E2.
And then maybe the 15th is when they blow our minds and reveal it to the whole world. And God, I can't wait for that trailer.
Right.
But I also heard, I wanted to add this, and I forgot to tell you, I also heard, we're going to talk about something else that Nate brought up about episode 8, new details about the story and where we're traveling. I also heard they're bringing back speeder bikes. Yes! I don't know about y'all.
I can dig that.
But I love me a speeder bike. Return of the Jedi is my fave. And that scene, those bikes were kick-ass as a kid when I was watching that in the movie theater. Yes, I'm that fucking old. Just blew my mind, man. Like, wow. And now, think about the technology we have now to make that speeder bike seem ultra realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Forest of Endor, when you see, back in the 80s, it blew my mind. But you watch it now and it's kind of like, yeah, it's dated. It's
Right.
definitely dated. Now we're going to get to see a speeder bike with modern day technology. And I hope it's badass. One in black, please.
Yeah.
I'll take
right.
Kylo's on one in black and everybody else is on the white.
Speeder bike advanced, like a
TIE
Vader,
bike.
like a TIE advance. There's a speeder advance.
Tell them about the home worlds we're going back to. Nate.
So one of the articles I read earlier this week said that episode 8 and I believe 9 as well is we are going to be learning the secrets of both Mustafar and Tatooine.
Yes.
We're going to be going back to both planets.
Yes.
What that entails as far as Tatooine goes is anybody's guess. Maybe there's a hidden Imperial research base there that holds a secret. Maybe we get to see where Obi-Wan had been spending basically the end of his life looking over Luke. Mustafar, obviously, they said we will more likely be seeing more of Vader's castle.
Yes.
Jeremy and I think that is going to be the headquarters of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm confident.
Just
of
going
that.
out on a limb with Kylo Ren's obsession with Vader, it would make sense that they would make Vader's castle Vader's castle would be their home base, so to speak. Maybe they uncover something that Vader hid there, or maybe a lightsaber that he stashed there or something. There's got to be something.
Mm-hmm.
They said that one will finally learn the secret of Mustafar. For sure, that was one. It was in the article, the secret of Mustafar. Who knows what that's going to entail? It could be anything.
Sure. I think it's kind of interesting how the First Order is so Nazi-like. You know, you get that Nazi feel, especially when you see in Episode 7, they're all gathered together, and I mean the only thing missing from those old World War II reels that we've all seen where Hitler had the German army gathered together and Heil Hitler was the only thing missing from that scene when they were talking about our super weapon and what's his name, the general or whatever. Remember he was up on stage and all the stormtroopers were gathered together. It had a very Nazi-esque feel.
Yeah, when they were on Starkiller Base.
Yeah, and she's like screaming into the microphone, and it just they're really, I mean, without saying, "Hey, it's the new Nazis," it
did have a Nazi vibe
feel
to it. Yeah,
and so I think it's interesting that we've already heard from Disney that Kylo is a collector of Vader artifacts. Which is interesting to me. I love history, and I know that Hitler was a collector of occult artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me like there's a definite tie-in right there, and I think that's a lot to do with why we're going back to these worlds. I think it
could be some artifacts.
Yeah. I think we're going to see Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren traveling. It's my theory. Traveling to these planets, looking for things in particular, artifacts that maybe even if you do any, it's really interesting if you do some history research about the Nazis and why Hitler was obsessed with these occultish artifacts. He was trying to find the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant. Did find, if you believe the story at all, that Jesus was on a cross and died. That the spear.
The spear, that pierced the side of Christ when he died.
Hitler
on the cross.
sent the Nazis out, found it somewhere, and it was in his possession.
This belongs in a museum.
All right, well, and in Episode 7, that weapon is mine. So it's really weird to me. I think that they're kind of taking that route, but interesting. And one of the reasons that Hitler did this was he believed these items possessed power.
Supernatural power, yep.
And we have already seen the lightsaber in Episode 7. There's something weird going on with that lightsaber.
Yeah, the cross-hilt one. Yeah.
And the mask. We don't know. He's talking to the mask like Vader's talking back, but he's not talking back. I mean, as far as we know, Vader died and went to the light side. So,
who is he talking to?
Who is he talking to? So this quest for items that possess power, it's totally the Nazis.
Yes.
Interesting to me. I just had to throw that in there. So I'm thinking, and I said this to Nate when he's the one that told me we're going back to Mustafar and Tatooine, and I think maybe even Tatooine might be Disney opening the door to the Obi-Wan movie.
It could be, yeah.
They might throw something in there that makes people want to see that movie.
And I also just thought of this too. I forgot Anakin was from Tatooine.
Yeah, it's all Vader connection.
And so maybe there's something on the planet that Anakin put there,
built.
Oh
wow!
That Kylo figures out or finds, or maybe there's a log. At Mustafar, I put this on Tatooine or something.
Oh, like
because
the
Imperials, as we know in Episode 4, that way there was a large presence there on Tatooine with the security checkpoints, and they were looking for all this stuff. It's possible that maybe Vader, maybe not himself, but maybe he had somebody else put something there.
Yeah, he was never going back. He made that clear.
I think
I'm not going back to that planet. You can't make me.
Going back there, those Tusken Raiders. Yeah,
I need you to go get. I left my toothbrush. I left my favorite teddy bear. I'm not going back there.
Oh, if you see that Watto character, kill that son of a bitch for me.
Right. Annie, you've returned.
Annie, how's
my
your
favorite
mom?
slave, you know that, Annie.
How's your mom? Oh, too soon. What did I say?
Was it something I said, Annie? Yeah, fucking episode 8 just keeps getting more and more intriguing. Wait till that trailer drops.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now. We're going to do an episode next week about who knows what the fuck. I promise you 2 weeks from now it will be all about the trailer.
There will probably be a podcast solely talking about that trailer.
Yeah. You know the feeling we all got when on Monday Night Football they showed that trailer that Chewie were home?
Yes.
Dude, it's going to be even more.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've built this trailer up so much. And the build-up for Luke Skywalker has lasted for 2 years.
Right.
So in this trailer, when we see Luke fucking whatever, anyhow he uses the Force, somehow uses the Force, we're all going to go, oh, he just used the Force. Oh, my God. The same way Ralph probably felt when he saw Han Solo. When I see Luke Skywalker use the Force, I'm like, oh, I can't dig it. Yeah, 2 more weeks. It's finally coming.
Yes, we hope.
And anything else you want to talk about, Nate? I know you got a couple of notes there.
I figure we can end on this note. It was just announced this week. In fact, yesterday it was announced that they have announced a Batgirl movie.
What?
Yes.
I find this strange, but
and
Nate's going to tell me why it's a good idea.
Apparently this came into being within the month. So this was a rather quick developed
Warner
idea.
Brothers making snap decisions?
That they said, you know what? Green light. You're going to do it. You'll never guess who they got tagged
I'm curious.
to head this up.
Oh, directing it? Producing it?
This person is going to write, direct, and produce this film.
Really?
Yes.
Ben Affleck. Lay it on me. I have no idea.
Well, as much as they don't want to go the Marvel route, they're going the Marvel route with this one. Because the person they've got to do this is Josh Whedon.
No way!
Yes.
Really?
Apparently this is a film that Josh Whedon has wanted to do.
It's Joss.
I'm saying Josh?
Yeah.
Joss. I think I try to say Josh and it comes out as... See, I think it just did it again. So, Joss Whedon... with the snake sound.
That's weird.
Yeah, he's going to write, direct, and produce this film.
That's weird. I mean, not in a good way.
Right.
In a definite good way.
Right, I think...
But he was, if you guys don't know, he was the brainchild of the Avengers.
Right.
I don't know if he wrote it, but he directed it.
I think he directed,
he might
both
have been
Avengers.
He might have been a co-writer or something.
Or yeah, I know he did the first Avengers. And I want to say he did the second Avengers too, and then he stopped after that.
Yeah.
So the second Avengers was his last one, I want to say.
Yeah, and it wasn't received as well as the first one.
Right.
So I wonder if this is his big middle finger to Marvel. Like, oh, you don't want me to do the next one? Okay, I'm jumping ship, but I'll join the other team.
Right. But I think this is a great, it could potentially be a great move. Because of his success with the Avengers, and of course he did other stuff. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly.
Yeah, I love Firefly.
Those shows.
You ever see Firefly?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Firefly.
Yes, I love Firefly. And I saw Serenity too. The movie that kind of...
That was the name of the movie that was...
Serenity, yeah. It was the standalone movie that kind of
years ago.
tied up...
Right.
the show after it was canceled after one season.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just kind of.
I actually used to have.
This is how it ends.
I used to have the season on DVD before I got divorced. But anyways,
You're right.
one more thing lost in the fire, mate.
Right.
But they have not announced who is going to play Batgirl.
Not officially.
There's a short list.
There's and of course, a lot of the fans have jumped on as who they want cast as Barbara Gordon. I think one of the names was Emma Stone.
No.
Is one.
No. I'll pitch a fit about that shit.
And I think somebody else, I can't remember the other name, but I think one of the leading contenders for it was some girl the show The 100 or something on the CW. She plays some character on that show. I guess she's sort of the leading candidate for that.
No,
I guess
Emma Stone. No, I'm not a fan of Emma Stone.
Yeah,
I know she's popular and hot right now because she just won an Oscar and all that shit. No.
Yeah.
No, not as Batgirl.
Yeah, so we'll see in the next coming months how quickly they kind of get the casting going on this.
Fuck, dude, I just had an idea.
What?
Joss ought to contact Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, hey, baby, you know they don't treat you right over there.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Okay, he's like, oh yeah, so you're not going to get your own solo movie as Black Widow. How do you
feel about Batgirl? That's a step up, isn't it?
Ooh, that would be a dick move, though.
If you know, but
that would be a dick move.
But why she popped in my head, except for the Avengers and obvious reasons, the connection there. Scarlett Johansson, without her platinum blonde hair, her natural hair color, it looks a lot like, she looks like Barbara Gordon.
Right.
I mean, it's there. You can flip the pages and go, okay, I see the resemblance. Plus, she's fucking hot as hell.
Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of
I want to see her in a bat suit. That's the truth.
Yeah, come on.
And Joss is like, that's actually my reason, too. But
high five, bro.
But that would be a total middle finger to Marvel if they stole.
Yeah, that would be a dick move, really.
And I don't know how that exactly works. I know I've heard talk that she's not getting her standalone movie. That's just not going to happen.
Which really sucks.
Agreed. I would definitely be totally into that. But I mean, if Disney or Marvel is already saying that, but she's still tied into doing a couple more Avengers movies. Unless
they kill her character off in like the last Avenger movie coming out,
right?
Because they're reported. They even said after these Avenger movies, it's gonna be different. The Avengers are gonna look different after.
Yeah,
afterwards. So
I saw that coming, but I've heard that too.
I mean, there's rumors that Chris Evans is done after because I guess he's got the Infinity War and then the next Avenger movie, whatever the hell that's going to be called, because they're two parts, but they're not parts. Yeah. You know, it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But and then he's got, I guess, apparently 2 more Captain America movies to do.
Really?
And then that ends his contractual obligations. And there's rumors of saying that he wants to be done afterwards. Obviously, after he's done with his contract.
Right. So there's 2 Captain America movies.
2 more Captain America movies.
I mean, already there's 2 Captain America movies. I'm just
right now there's 2, and then there's going to be supposedly 2 more.
So plus Civil War.
So yeah,
he was in Captain America.
He was Captain America First Avenger, then the Winter Soldier,
right?
Then Civil War.
Well, Avengers.
Well, it was Captain America Civil War. It was a Captain America movie.
Oh yes,
right.
Yes, agreed.
So it wasn't an Avengers movie,
right?
Even though there's a lot of Avengers.
It was a lot of Avengers.
So there was those 3, and then there's 2 more after that.
Okay.
So
I really thought that's good news. I mean, I've heard he's been tired of doing it, or he wants out of it. He actually wants to direct.
The physical. I think he was quoted. The physical demands of the character just.
Yeah.
outrageous
And that guy is
and
ripped.
taxing.
Yeah, that guy's ripped, so you can imagine he puts a lot of work into getting to that shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about Robert Downey Jr., man, at his age, still doing it, you know? The physical part of it. But I was kind of thinking we might not see him ever again after Civil War. I mean, I knew in the Avengers movies that are coming, the Infinity War and whatever the other one is, but I kind of thought, like, after that, he's done. But we're going to get 2 more Captain America movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of set it up at the end of Civil War, that note to Tony, say, hey, if you need my help, you know where to find me. You know, I'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they kind of went their separate directions, but, you know, hey, if you need my help, I'll be there.
Right.
You know, so obviously Thanos coming to the planet, I think I kind of need your help.
What the fuck were we talking about that led us to the Captain America?
It was the you had the suggestion of Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
Becoming Batgirl.
Okay.
You know?
I was okay. I'll go back to that thought. I don't mind that thought.
Yeah, we could all end on the thought of Scarlett Johansson
In a Batgirl suit.
in anything. Really.
Yeah, really, right? Or nothing.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, I'm calling it right now. If you see her in it, copyright Jeremy Payne. I called that shit. That's my choice. I do not want Emma Stone. I would totally petition for Scarlett Johansson. And she's been fucked over by the MCU.
Yeah,
it would almost be
really
it would
has.
almost be divine justice. It really would. But Joss Whedon,
Yeah.
that blew my mind, man. Seriously, I never would have guessed. I have to think he didn't leave on such good terms. If you know,
Probably not.
I mean, if you left on really good terms, I think he would probably say, "I don't feel right doing it."
But the way the article says, this sounds like something he's wanted to do. He's wanted to do this movie. Maybe he wanted to do a DC movie. And he's like, you know what? I want to do a Batgirl movie.
You know, dude, think about how perfect it is with his experience with Buffy, a female hero.
Now, see, I also read an article, too. It's like some guy was making an argument that he was a wrong choice because of the way that he has portrayed female characters in some of his other works. There was the success of Buffy, but then there was Dollhouse, which I haven't seen anyway, but they said it was kind of a bad portrayal of a female protagonist and everything, and then some musical that's escaping my head right now where Felicia Day played a character and her character was kind of developed in a way to enhance the bad guy's characters fall into madness or whatever, or something like that. It's some weird obscure title for the movie.
But did he write either of those movies?
See, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. Dollhouse was a show, and I think he created that show.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume he would have had creative input,
like Buffy,
right? So he was making an argument that he was was Josh Whedon was a bad choice for this. But of course, we're in the early stages of this, and we don't know who's going to play Batgirl, what the plot is, who the bad guy is. You know, we don't know yet.
It almost seems like, so in the past couple of weeks, we heard confirmation of a Nightwing movie.
Yes.
And now we're getting Joss Whedon is going to do a Batgirl movie. And it almost feels like, and maybe in a good way, Warner Brothers realized where their moneymaker was. Instead of focusing, and I'm not saying they've given up on the Justice League. I'm not saying that yet.
No.
I think a lot will be determined when we see what happens with that movie and Wonder Woman.
Yes.
But maybe it kind of seems like they've turned a corner. Like, it was always about Batman. This whole thing with Matt Reeves and giving him total control. So this is the Batman universe. Batgirl is the Batman universe.
Right.
So I have to believe that Matt Reeves I don't know. I have to look into that. See if they're friends, maybe.
Right.
They know each other on an intimate level. Him and
If
Joss Whedon.
Right. If Ben Affleck is still going to be around.
Yeah.
If he's still going to be playing Batman.
It seems like they're making Batman moves all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And like the Justice League and the other characters, like the Flash and Cyborg, was supposed to have a movie, and
now it's
yeah. Now it's like Nightwing, Batgirl, Batman. Remember who you love?
They're just fly. They just stick a logo in your face. Batman, Batman, Batman.
Well, and you got to even consider the whole Batman Lego movie just crushed it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Warner Brothers has got to look at Batman and go, oh, fuck, yeah, we kind of forgot where our moneymaker was.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with that, because maybe DC's just not meant to do a shared universe. I mean, I hate to say that. I don't want to give up. But maybe we're being spoiled kids, Nate. Maybe
that could be too.
You know, maybe we have something wonderful with Marvel and what they're doing with the shared universe, and we want it over there too. But it's a different universe.
True.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people bring this argument up. DC, their characters are like gods. Marvel is more the everyday man that stumbles into his powers.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more relatable to an audience.
Right.
Than trying to tell a modern day fable or fairy tale or whatever. So yeah, you know, maybe we're just like, maybe we should be happy with the MCU and let DC give us a shit ton of Batman.
Right.
Superman's like, what about me? You guys said it was gonna be me this time.
Yeah, shut up, Batman. Shut up.
Shut up, Superman. You know who runs this show.
You sit your ass in the corner there.
My mother was older. She was the first Martha. So, that's all I got today.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up.
So, yep.
Same bat time. Come catch us next week for... actually, let's bring this up. We just hit a milestone of sorts.
This is our 20th podcast.
Yay! Fuck you, Wreck-It Ralph. You should have been here, bitch. Yeah, don't you come on here no more.
You broke my heart.
I do want to throw something out there to Ralph, and we'll end on this.
Yes.
Steve said that you're haunting TA, but you're not haunting the podcast, bitch. Where's your ghost right now? Anyways, we love you, bro. And we're going to end on that note. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Peace.
Yes. And we are all one with the Force, and the Force is with us. See you later.